Hi, my name's Marty. I use they, them pronouns. It's my birthday, and I'm going to show you how to make a cake roll. So we're just going to get right into it. But basically, you can start with any cake mix that you want. I already made my cake mix because I'm trying to move kind of quickly because time is of the essence when you're making a cake roll. That being said, if you're making a recipe from scratch like I did, you're going to want to use cake flour because that's going to be important to give some flexibility. For those of y'all who don't know what a cake roll is, it's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a cake that is rolled up. So like when you see those cakes where it's like the cake and then there's like the swirl of like frosting or some other kind of filling in it, that's what a cake roll is. So the first thing you're going to need is your cake mix. The second thing is a jelly roll pan. So this is a smaller size of sheet pan. I can't remember the exact measurement off the top of my head, so I'm going to Google it and put it in the video description. But you're going to need a jelly roll pan. You're going to need parchment paper. I've done it before without parchment paper and it was a nightmare. Just use parchment paper. You are going to make a square of parchment paper that's going to fit with just a little bit of overhang into your pan. You do want to have a little bit of overhang because otherwise you're going to have a little bit of a hard time getting it out. You don't need to spray your parchment paper or anything. I'm going to because the cake mix that I'm using, the cake that I made, I know is really notorious about sticking. So you don't need to spray it. I am going to. As much as I love this cake, it's a nightmare. Yeah, you are going to want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees as you're doing all this as well. So again, you don't need to grease and flour on top of the parchment paper. I am, because even when I've made this cake on just like straight up parchment paper before, it is still stuck. And that's just specific to this cake mix. Which, if anyone's wondering, is the chocolate cake recipe from the Hershey website. I love chocolate, I love cake, I love Massachusetts, I love a lot of things, but this is my favorite chocolate cake recipe. Alright, so you're going to need to do some measuring. I'm not going to measure because I already did in messing around with the ratios for my mix, but you are going to need exactly 3.5 cups of mix. So most cakes make like twice that. So you are going to need to either have your recipe, do some weird math like I did the other day, or you can just make the whole and then put the other half in like a round pan or something like that and bake it separately. But what you are going to do, and I wish I had a better angle to work with. I'm going to play around with this for a sec. Oh, cool, work. Alright, so what you're going to do is once you are ready, your parchment paper is in place, you are going to pour your mix right on top of that paper. You're going to try and start from like the middle. Yeah, you want it to be like as flat on the bottom as possible, because we're going to do some funky stuff to it when it comes out of the oven. Which again, my oven is preheated to 400 degrees right now, because we want to cook this fast and hot, because it's so thin. Alright, 400 degrees. Alright, cool. So mine is not sitting too evenly, so I'm just going to give it a hand with my spatula. Another thing you can do to give it a hand is you can pick up the pan, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a sec, and give it a couple taps. And again, I'll show you how to do that in a sec. I'm just trying to do what I can with the spatula first. Yeah, so, ooh, this end of the pan got hot because I was using that side of the stove. Alright, so you can just kind of tap it, tap it, tap it. Alright, cool. Alright, so once you have that, once you have your pan prepared with the parchment paper, your 3.5 cups of mix on top of it, you're going to stick it in your oven at 400 degrees for exactly 15 minutes. And at 15 minutes, you're going to have to be like ready to go. And I'll talk about that when we come back. Actually, while that's in there, I'm going to talk about what you're going to do next, because I'm not necessarily going to have enough time to like explain everything in detail as I'm doing it. So when that comes out of the oven, at exactly 15 minutes, we're not messing around with time, you're going to need to roll it right away. So it's going to be hot. You can wear oven mitts if you want. I probably will because I'm a little bit of a wuss. I might just take a towel and wrap it around my hands too. But you're going to need to roll it immediately. So you're going to lift it out of the pan with the parchment paper. Actually, you can leave it in if you want, but it's a little easier if you lift it. and you're gonna tuck the edge of that parchment paper, the little bit of overhang that we left under itself, and you're just gonna roll it nice and tight, nice and tight. And you're gonna roll it all the way down, and then you are going to secure it. Either you can wrap a towel around that, you can even like tape it if you want, but you're gonna roll it up like that, and then you're gonna stick it in the fridge, and you're gonna leave it there until it's completely cooled all the way through. You don't want to mess with it too much after that. It's just important to do all that while it's hot, because that's what's going to make it keep the shape better. If we try and roll it cold, it's just going to crack. It's just going to like fall apart. So basically, the same exact reason that you don't mess with a cake when it's hot usually is why we do want to mess with a cake roll when it's hot. Is that we want to basically mess up the natural shape that it's going to take as it's baking. And you need that parchment paper in there, because eventually we're going to unroll it gently to put filling in. And the parchment paper will keep it from sticking to itself and turning into like one log of cake goo, basically like cake pop filling. But yeah, so right now I'm down to like 12 minutes on the timer. I will see you at exactly 15 minutes. All right, welcome back. The timer just went off. I pulled the cake out of the oven. We are just gonna move quickly. I'm gonna tilt my camera down so you can hopefully see a little better. All right. Good enough. All right, so I need this to be facing the other way. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift up the edges of my parchment paper. And again, you're gonna wanna protect your hands with something because this is going to be very hot. It just came out of a 400-degree oven. This may strike you as surprising, but 400 degrees is a temperature you do not want your body to be. I'm even gonna put oven mitts on. I usually do this with a towel, but I'm not feeling like burning my hands today. Alright. It's my birthday. That would stink. Louisa just texted me happy birthday, too. Thanks, Louisa. I'm gonna go back to that. That'll give me a better grip. Alright. So yeah, so I got a little bit of fold at the beginning, and that's okay. The beginning's the hardest part. So yeah, I'm gonna take and just roll nice and tight around that parchment paper. Nice and tight. It doesn't have to be like tight, like no breathing room at all. Because you do want to be able to unroll it and have some space for filling later. But you definitely don't want it to be like flopping around. Alright. Rad. Come on. Ooh, it did get a little stuck at the end, but that's okay. Alright. Awesome. Perfect. So, we got our cake roll. You can see from the side, it's rolled around the parchment paper. All I'm going to do... Ooh, she's a little bit hot. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take this towel that I was using, and I am going to wrap it around it, and I'm just going to stick it in the fridge, and I'm going to leave it there for like a full hour, because I really want it completely cool before I unroll it, especially because if you frost it warm, the frosting is just going to like out the end. Awesome. See you in an hour or so. Well, welcome back. I just made my icing, and I took this out of the fridge. It's been about 2 hours, so moment of truth. Alright. Yeah, so it held the shape really nicely, which is awesome. I'm going to tilt the camera down even more. Yes. So we're going to gently unroll it. It's got a little bit of cracking, but that's okay. A little bit's fine. Yeah, right where it folded under. It'll crack just a bit, but, you know, that's okay. It'll hold itself together better with the filling inside it. Yeah, so what we're going to do now is we're going to fill it. So I made this strawberry cream cheese, strawberry frosting, excuse me. And I'm just going to slop it right in. Keep in mind that because this is, because it's been rolled up, this is going to be more prone to breaking than normal cake would, especially because it's so thin. So it's better to put a large amount of frosting on and then spread it gently than to try and go like little by little and, you know, end up ripping something up. But yeah, I'm just going to plop this right in there. I'm gonna spread it out nice and thick. This is gonna be so tasty. I love strawberries, and I had a really hard time finding a good strawberry frosting recipe just because, like, anytime you add fruit to anything, it adds moisture, and then it can be hard to make frosting because if you add too much moisture to frosting, it gets goopy really fast. But the neighbors brought something over with this frosting on it a little while ago, and I asked for the recipe. And they sent it to me. It's from a blog. And I was paranoid that it wasn't going to turn out good, because some of the steps I was like, you sure? But it actually ended up quite delicious. I wish I made like a double batch so I could put more on top. Maybe I will. I have a little bit left. But either way, it was delish. And yeah. Like, I also was like, I'm gonna take out my red food coloring just in case if I need to like make it a little prettier, and like that pink is all just from the strawberries, which is great. Alright. Awesome. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and roll it back up. I'm gonna put it that way. And yeah, I'm just gonna go little by little, and this time as you're rolling it, you're going to take it off the parchment paper at the same time. Yeah, so mine cracked a little bit, which is okay, but yeah, you can see like it cracked right there. Awesome. And you can hold it in place for a couple seconds if you want to like really make sure that it sticks to itself nicely. Then all you're going to do is transfer it to a plate, a pan, anything that's going to be the right size. And that, my friends, is how you make a cake roll.